All right. Well, I'm here with Doug to talk about the Amazon outage and GoFundMe's scam. And it is Tuesday, October 21, 2025. So why don't you start with the information about Amazon, Doug?
Oh, Sam, I was going to ask you about that. So, massive Amazon outage for
Yeah.
what, probably half a day.
Yep.
And there are websites that I tried to get to that just said, sorry, we're
Yeah.
not available yet, or we're throttling your participation in social media. Please try again later, which meant that
Well, that's not friendly.
no,
So they
it's
gave
not
you a message that
friendly
made
at
it
all.
sound like it was your fault. I've seen that a lot in
Exactly.
in Android apps when I audit them. I'll break the network connection by man in the middling the HTTPS, and it will often say something like your username and password are not recognized or something instead of saying, bad network connection.
Yeah, or 404 can't be found. So, Sam,
Yeah.
what's the root cause of this?
Well, according to a LinkedIn post that summarized it, the student sent me to, it was a DNS outage that stopped Amazon Web Services from talking to each other. Which reminds me of when Amazon went down about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, they went down for, I think, 4.5 days because they implemented a load balancing solution so that
Yeah,
traffic would be redirected from busy servers to less busy servers. And they implemented it backwards. So it sent all of the traffic to the most busy servers. And that destroyed the whole network, and it took them days to clean it up. And this one's similar. Somehow they messed up the DNS, so their servers couldn't talk to each other. And that caused something called DynamoDB to fail. And that caused all kinds of Amazon services to fail. And it took a while to recover.
so,
So,
Sam,
yeah,
what you're saying is it wasn't uh, a rogue state, it wasn't a hacking
no,
attack, it was
no.
just misconfiguration.
This is one of the truisms of network security is that most of the problems are caused by your own employees making mistakes. Clearly, they have a much higher opportunity to ruin everything than the outside attackers.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's often an attempt to improve your security that ruins everything.
yeah. So we don't know why they made the change, do we?
No, I haven't seen a report
Yeah,
on that. But this is but what it shows is when you have a really complicated network like that, you would like to remove single points of failure, but there often are single points of failure you fail to recognize. It reminds me of when Cloudflare went down for I think like 8 hours, maybe 6 years ago, because they put in a bad BGP route and that
yeah,
redirected a
yeah.
bunch of traffic. And then they said, now we hadn't thought of that, but now we realize our BGP routes are a single point of failure. So we're implementing like a software solution that will test the BGP route in simulation before it goes live or something like that to try to prevent this. Which is the great thing about Cloudflare. I mean, Cloudflare always, whenever a bad thing happens, they always say exactly what happened, and they say, here's how we figured out how to prevent this from happening again," which is all you can do.
Yeah,
You come
yeah.
clean and you actually like do something about it. That's all you can ask. Because stuff is just so complicated that no matter how much you plan for everything, there's always a weak spot you didn't understand.
Right, right.
It's
All
like
right.
I
Well,
keep telling,
that was the big tech story for yesterday.
yeah,
Where do we go today? I think I've got the best one.
okay.
This has to be the best, Sam. You tell me. Apple is making a bold, brand new, vibrant identity change for Apple TV Plus. Have you heard about this?
No, I know nothing.
Major changes for Apple TV Plus. You know what they're doing?
I have no clue what Apple TV Plus even is. There's something called Apple TV that has like Disney on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Apple's TV, right?
I
The
guess
little
if,
box that you buy,
oh,
and it
okay. I thought it was
right?
software. Just so I know nothing.
No,
Television, I've had a television for 30 years.
it's a combination of hardware and software, a lot of subscribers.
Yeah.
And so Apple introduced this, I don't know how long ago, maybe 10 years ago.
I hear that it's popular for people with kids.
Yeah. It's a subscription service. So Apple's making these bold, brand new, vibrant identity changes. It's going to make it completely different. They
Hmm.
think it's going to attract new customers. The new Apple TV Plus is going to be called Apple TV.
So what's the advantage? Does it have better shows or better resolution
No, they're
or
just
something?
dropping the plus.
Okay, well, hell. Now this reminds me of all the streaming services. Like about 2 years ago, everybody had CNN Plus, and Fox tried to have a streaming service, and MSNBC tried to have a streaming service that people would pay for, and they all found out that nobody will pay for a streaming service to show pretty much, minor additions to the existing TV shows.
Yeah. Well, Apple's banking on this one to get rid of the plus to attract more customers, and maybe it might work.
Well, I've heard that the Apple TV is pretty popular. They have like the best kid shows. I think they have Disney, right? So,
Well, you can get Disney from Disney, but yeah,
okay, well, I don't know. I know nothing
yeah.
about TV. I just hear about it on the Pivot podcast from people who have families with kids, the various TV things they subscribe to. I don't even have Netflix. All I got is Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I have Amazon Prime, don't watch it, and I found out that you can also get videos from the library.
Yeah. Oh,
And
actually, I did pay for Paramount Plus, and that way I
did
get to
you?
watch stuff without ads. So I like that.
Yeah, yeah, to watch without ads.
But I only watch
Be
stuff that's like more than 10 years old, so the whole series is out there.
Yeah, all right. So what's your big story? Can you top the Apple TV Plus changing their name?
Yeah, I got it's more important than that. But actually,
Oh, what could be more
I thought it
important,
was
Sam?
pretty interesting. So GoFundMe, let me find where I put this one. Maybe I put it in politics.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to search for it. I can't find my own stuff. All right, so GoFundMe. What happened is some San Francisco charities. A San Francisco charity got an email from someone saying, "Hey, I just donated you on GoFundMe," and they're like, "We don't have a GoFundMe." And what they found out is GoFundMe has taken it upon themselves to create nonprofit pages for 1.4 million organizations without telling them. They got a list from the government, a public IRS data, um, and they made 1.4 million pages where you can donate to these charities, but they didn't notify the charities, and the charities have no easy way to contact them to take the money, but there's a tip amount when you donate. A tip that goes to GoFundMe, and they turned that up to beyond the normal maximum, 16.5%. So they created a bunch of fake charity pages, and when you donate, a lot of your money goes to GoFundMe, and they don't seem to be concerned in the least about notifying the charities or ever passing the funds on to them. So this is pretty outrageous.
So does GoFundMe actually send the money to the charities? Do we
No,
know?
I think it just piles up in an account on their server until the charity finds out and asks
Request
for it.
it.
Yeah.
So it's like a gift card.
Yeah. Gift cards. Yeah. So I mean, anyway, now all they have is they have the specific, this is like a five on your side kind of thing, like a consumer action group that acts
Yeah.
on behalf of a couple of San Francisco organizations and found out that this is what happened to them. But it appears to be a widespread thing. So this seems like a pretty nasty scam on their part. So a bunch of people think they're donating to charities, but the money is not actually reaching the charities, but GoFundMe is cheerfully taking their cut.
Well, it could reach the charities.
It could, but they don't. These charities found out about it and tried to contact GoFundMe and couldn't get anybody to talk to them at GoFundMe
I see.
until they
I
went to
see.
like a consumer watchdog news agency
Yeah.
that would harass GoFundMe. So apparently they're really not in the least interested in getting the money going to charities.
No, 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 of course not. This is like a free loan. They get to sit on the money.
Well, it seems to me like it's probably a crime. You could probably say they're impersonating the charity and taking money, which does not, in fact, go to the charity. I think I can see several FTC type violations here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is this, I guess this could be a form of wire fraud, could it not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something bad like that. I think it's at least a violation of terms of service. I mean, you put up a page that says this money goes to the Red Cross, but then that money doesn't actually go to the Red Cross. That's fraud of some kind.
Yeah, but it has the potential of going to the Red Cross.
Yeah, well, it depends on exactly what you said. If you said you can donate to us and this money may potentially eventually go to the Red Cross, if that's what you said, you might be okay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But, seems to me
And
like they need to knock it off.
16% commission?
16%. Yeah.
Holy,
Apparently, which is another thing. When a student told me about this, and when he told me you can just move a slider to decide how much of your money goes to GoFundMe. I said, nobody would make a business like that, but that's apparently true. You can voluntarily choose how much of your money goes to GoFundMe, but they just crank that up to the maximum without telling you, which I think amounts to these dark patterns. So, I remember I heard an interview with a politician, and they were talking about, what can activists do at this time? They said, well, going to the No Kings rally and protesting is good. But he said, what is not worth doing? They said, if you never answer another online poll, that would be just fine. Or
Yeah.
online, those things where you get a million petitions. Those online petitions are a complete waste of your time. Don't bother with them.
Yeah, Sam, I've been asked to sign petitions lately.
Yeah.
Do they do anything?
Well, I suspect the ones that are specialized, like the ones where they get scientists to sign one about science, and you try to get prominent scientists on there, that might do something.
But the ones where somebody's sitting outside of a store with an ironing board,
Oh,
sign
those
up,
really matter. Those,
do they?
the ones for ballot initiatives, they do matter. You actually have to
Oh,
get a certain number of thousands of signatures or it doesn't go on the ballot.
yeah, but to petition like the city to clean up homelessness or to petition the city to clean up garbage dumping.
Well, I've never seen any of them. All the ones I see are related to ballots because
Yeah,
they pay those guys. I don't know. I haven't seen any that weren't related to the ballots. The ballots are up. That's what they're for.
yeah. The ballots, that's a legal requirement.
Right. And also, it does have an effect. Then it goes on the ballot and people vote on it, and that actually has the force of law.
Yeah, yeah, that's different. What I'm talking about are the petitions where they want congressman to or a city council member to clean up or pave the roads or,
Well, I don't know.
pick up garbage.
I guess the question is whether that council person cares. And I bet they do care. I know phone calls to like your local representative do matter. They do log them, and they really care, especially if you're really one of the people they represent.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Okay.
guess a petition with signatures in their neighborhood would probably matter because they'll say that's that many voters that want me to do this. I'm guessing, but it would be
Yeah,
up to the individual, congressman or senator. I'm sure a lot of them are just asleep now because they said like 90% of districts are now completely one blue or red. So you don't really ever have any competition. You're just in there for life. And the
yeah,
only thing that matters is the primary. And the primary is not affected by the average voter. It's only affected by a small number of fanatic voters who will vote in the primary. So that's why we have the extremes in our politics. You don't actually want to serve the average person of your representative. You only want to serve the primary voters. And the rest of the people, their vote doesn't count. So in that
yeah,
respect, a petition probably wouldn't affect a person like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right, well, let's move on. I
yeah.
got a kind of hacking one too.
Okay.
Job interviews. People want to get jobs, right?
Yeah.
So they look online, they apply to a job, looks really good. They say this is mostly for programmers, but this scam could go a little bit sideways here. And they say you have 30 minutes to complete this programming task. Have you heard about this?
There's one I heard about. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me finish. So you complete the programming task and you submit it, and they say, "Oh, wait, we need to have this software downloaded on your computer so we can analyze it to make sure it's your code and that you created it, or some excuse like that." And it's
That's sounding,
malware.
that part is sounding pretty bogus to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's malware.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, there's no
Right.
job, it's
That's right.
bogus, it's to infect your machine.
Yep, yep. Well, there's one I read where a guy had a job offer like that, and they told him to analyze this code base, and he was about to run it, but before he ran it, he fed it into Cursor, the AI programming
Yep.
assistant. He said, "Does this stuff look suspicious?" And it said, "Yes, that stuff is malware." So he saved himself that way, which I thought was very interesting. The AI could spot that it was suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that story too. Wasn't it?
It was a
Was
blockchain
it?
software.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean that I thought the interesting part to me is that AI can do a security scan. I'd like to see more tests and see how good that is. An AI security scan may be a very good, helpful tool if it actually works.
Yeah. Do you remember what the scan found?
No, but I know he said what it was going to do was steal your cryptocurrency keys off your machine, which is what you would expect.
Yeah. No, it was something. it was something like there were some compacted bits or encrypted bits in the malware.
Yeah, pretty easy thing to spot.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Obfuscated
what I'm
code.
saying. It's
Yeah, but
pretty
still,
pretty low hanging fruit.
that's true. But still,
Yeah,
maybe it seems I'd like to learn. I'd like to learn what an AI can scan for and whether that's worth doing.
yeah, yeah. So this is a beginning,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So,
What else you got?
well, there's a couple of nice videos just saying things that I've been saying. I was glad to see it again. There's one video here that says current AI models have three unfixable problems. And the three problems are they're unable to extrapolate beyond their training data. All they can really do is sort of average training data for things what they've seen before, which is generally true. They have no originality. All you're going to get is like the average response from many web pages. They have hallucinations, the huge problem, and they say that they're now saying they can train models to add to their training, tell me when you don't know, and get to where it'll admit when it doesn't know something. But they say when they do that, they end up saying they don't know maybe 30% of the time, and customers are very unhappy with that. So it seems to be a problem there that if you actually make it stop hallucinating, then customers will find it of very little value. And the last one is the one I always go on about, which is prompt injection. A fundamental flaw of large language models is all the data is treated the same. The commands from the administrator are treated just the same as the questions from the user. And that's a really serious problem. And there's no sign of anybody finding a way to fix that, which surprises me. I would think you could include that in the model somehow. This part is the commands from the administrator that must be obeyed. This part
Oh,
is the data from the user that's just a suggestion. But currently, they have no way to do that. So those are really serious problems. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say they're all unfixable, but they're all difficult to fix. And all the boosters in Silicon Valley that say we're going to have AGI next year or AGI later this year, these are the problems that are going to stop that from happening. And it reminds me so many times of this happening before. Like remember in 1960s, they said, "Hey, we're going to have we're going to put up two cameras so we have stereoscopic vision. So we're going to have like self-driving cars and robots that can fight on the battlefield by like next year. So fund our grants because all you need is two cameras and then you can do everything." And that turned out to be a whole lot harder than anybody thought. And they still don't have those things. But they thought all you need is two cameras, then you have depth perception, then you can have a robot soldier and self-driving cars and everything, and voice recognition and everything. They promised all that in the 1960s,
right,
and
right.
we still don't really have any of that. And
Yeah.
they have another video in the same vein that said why replacing humans with AI is going horribly wrong, which again says the same thing I've been saying for a while. So it's sort of nice to see a good presentation of it. Companies that replace customer service humans with AI, including Tesla, IBM, and Duolingo, found that the AI quality was too low. It was much worse than what the humans had, and you started losing customers, and your employees started quitting because the company was no good to work for. But they say AI is more effective in structured tasks. If you implement AI gradually and purposefully, then you can get productivity increases up to 35%. But you use the AI for something like automating repetitive tasks that irritate your workers. You don't try to replace humans with AI because AI will not replace a human. It's just a tool that can help the human somewhat if you or implement it into your workflow gradually.
Right.
And like I
Yeah.
say, I gave a talk at Wild West Hacking Fest. I gave a couple of workshops, and a lot of guys come up tell me my company is rushing into AI. What can I tell managers to get them to knock it off? And I said, tell them to deploy it on a small scale and to measure the results carefully to see what complaints you're getting and see if it's really helping you before you deploy it widely, which I think is the best plan. Um,
Okay.
you have to
Yeah, we'll
actually,
see.
you have to, yeah, you don't just believe what the vendors say, fire the staff and put in AI. That is not going to work. Deploy it for one specific task in a limited way and measure the results.
Well,
Anyway,
isn't that what you're supposed to do is do a pilot program and
yeah, with any big change, you do it in a small way, find out how it works, then you train your staff. You know, you have to make a plan to integrate this into your workflow. But they've
but
somehow
that's
convinced middle
that's
management that they can save a bunch of money this quarter by just firing half the staff.
that's not Silicon Valley. It's implement things, break things, make change.
Well, move fast and break things Makes
Move
sense
fast. Yeah.
if you're a research company and you're just creating new products, then moving fast and breaking things might make sense. But if you're an established business that is trying to add a feature to a workflow that's working, then moving fast and breaking things is not the best move.
Yeah. And if you've studied cybersecurity at all, this is part of the maturity model.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very
Yeah.
like a change management team, and you actually consider and you actually test things and you actually have a rollback plan. So if this change makes things worse, we have a way to go back to where we were. You have to have all
Right.
that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So a couple more AI ones that are fun. There's a researcher that wants to have, I couldn't believe when I read this. He wants to have an AI version of people, and he wants to use the AI version of you in a hospital when you're in a coma to decide whether you live or die. We'll ask the AI you. And he said, right now, I can't find enough people to work on this. It seems to be controversial for some reason, but I'm hoping I can get it up to 75% accuracy. I'm like, holy shit. Do you remember when Obamacare came out and the huge storm about death panels, where there would be some panel of executives deciding whether you live or die? Now they want an AI you to decide whether you live or die.
Sam, it's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah,
And the reason is because there was a study that was done, small study, and it was people that said, if I'm debilitated or, incapacitated or have some disease, I don't want life prolonged for
right.
me.
DNR, do not
Yeah.
resuscitate. Yeah,
Yeah. And these people that just had their mind made up, no way do I want to live like that. When the actual time came
yeah.
and they were conscious, they said, no, I want you to do more, do whatever you can.
Well,
And
that's
that's
another.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not 100%, but
I would think that would happen pretty often. I mean, it's just, I've heard people say this about combat. You think you'd be brave. They say you don't know how you'd react until it really happens.
yeah, yeah,
And I
exactly.
bet, facing death is something where you imagine one thing, but the reality of it is very different.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, so Perplexity is going to roll out Comet for free everywhere. That's their AI browser. And until now, it cost $200 a month to use it. But now it's going to be free for everyone. So I have to try it out and see. I saw somebody say, I love AI browsers. They're great. Now, when I go to watch an hour-long video, I can just have the AI summarize the video. And there's already a Chrome plugin that will do that. But anyway, if AI agent built into your browser to automate certain tasks, perhaps it's useful. I haven't tried it yet. But now it's free. Maybe I'll try it now. Apparently, Opera has a version. I don't know if that version is free, though. Anyway, and the finances of AI continue to be very troubling. There's an article here that says that OpenAI is currently pulling in $13 billion in annual revenue, 70% coming from people paying their $20 a month to chat with
really?
AI. Yeah,
Okay.
but the problem is they have also committed to spending 1 trillion over the next decade in data center costs and computing and such and infrastructure. So they have to turn 13 billion income into 1 trillion income in the next 5 years, or this isn't going to work. And this is what many people have said. They said the entire US economy is an incredible large bet on AI. Half of the entire growth of our GDP is AI, and it's all speculation. It's all investment with no actual product that remotely pays enough. We're all betting that somehow AI is going to increase the amount of profit by about a factor of 100 in 5 years. And that's why I think we're in the mother of all bubbles, and when it crashes, we're going to have something, some huge recession or depression kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
anyway, that's where we are. And they also, well, a story I think I had last time is they're basically doing wash trading. The companies are loaning money to customers to buy the product, so it makes it seem like they're selling more than they are. They're all just sort of passing money around in a ring, pretending they have a lot of sales and business, which isn't real. So it's all pretty much a pyramid scheme kind of scam. Anyway, and the last one, I guess, AI. California has now regulated AI companion chatbots. We're the first state in the nation to do that. So this is going to require companies to implement certain features like age verification and warnings regarding social media and companion chatbots. And this is, of course, a response to the teenagers that made friends with an AI and then ended up killing themselves.
Yeah. So is this, do you know, is this part of Senate Bill 243 takes place
That's it. Senate Bill
next?
243.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes start in January 1st, 2026, it takes effect. And so at least you'll have warning labels on your chatbot like a pack of cigarettes, I guess. So it might do some good.
Yeah. So Australia is implementing a social media ban on teens
Right, I saw that. And they therefore have some national age verifications.
verification.
And
So
did that one already get hacked? I know one of them already got hacked and lost all the credit driver's licenses.
was it Australia? Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah, I
I
forget.
can't.
Might have been one of our states, but
Yeah, I
UK.
think it was.
Problem
Yeah.
is, everybody implements these things, and then of course they get hacked and lose all the data, like everybody.
Sam, I got one simple question when it comes to this age verification. It says that teens need to provide government IDs. What teen
Or
has a government ID?
well, that's the point. The other thing is they say they'll now take a video of your face and decide how old you are based on that, using
Yeah.
AI to guess your age from your appearance. That
What?
sounds pretty bogus too.
How do you know it's your face?
There's that. The early ones, students would put up a picture from a video game and get it authorized that way. It's, like all these things. And the thing is, kids are probably very good at getting past these stupid barriers. It'll probably have some effect, but it's certainly not going to stop everybody.
All right,
But,
Sam. We hear it's kind of unfortunate. We hear about trafficking, right? Human
oh yeah,
trafficking.
oh yeah.
Well, here's one, and you're probably going to laugh, but have you heard of Lego trafficking?
No.
Lego figurine trafficking. Turns out that up in Lake County, which is what, about 2 hours north of San Francisco, there was somebody the police raided, I guess, and the guy had 8,000 Lego heads, Lego figurine heads. They're all laid out and organized.
He'd been stealing them somewhere?
Well, he had people go out and steal Lego kits. And I didn't realize this, but Lego kits, right, sold at toy stores and online, but obviously they're going to toy stores, cost from $5 to $1,000.
Yeah, I've heard that there are expensive ones.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess you
And
rob a truck or a store or something to get them?
nah, they were robbing stores because look, the head of a Lego is pretty small,
Yeah.
right? And this, I guess, turns out to be some pretty big business because they have limited, what do you call them? Limited production runs or
Oh,
limited
limited. Yeah, collector's
limited
editions. Yeah.
editions. That's the word I'm looking
Oh yeah,
for.
this is like people that collect those little plastic figures of superheroes. It's incredible how emotional people get about that. I couldn't believe it. I saw like a TV show making fun of like nerds for fighting over those plastic figures, and I was offended saying nobody would be like that. And then I actually saw real people, adults, do this, fight over like a little transformer figure and how they changed the model and it ruined my life. People care about those things the way they care about sports heroes, which I also don't understand. But people have
Yeah,
incredible investments in these little plastic toys. They're important to them like the crown jewels.
I'll tell you, it gets where. Well, yeah. So, Legos. There was a Spider-Man that was valued on the secondhand market at $15,000.
Yeah.
And I know that Nintendo, the game cartridges
Yeah.
from what, 25, 30 years ago, in a brand new sealed box, those are going for over $1 million.
I was thinking yesterday about some article came up about trans girls in high school sports. And I was thinking the thing I have to say is I'm not qualified to say anything about this because I never understood sports at all. People regard sports as important, and they really do. Their whole happiness in life depends on their team winning. They care about it in a way that I just don't care. I do not understand what's going on or what the importance is or what the important issues are. I never have got it. And these
Well,
little collectibles are the same with me. I don't know why anybody does it. It's clear that it's super important to some people, but I just don't get it.
yeah. So sports, just to let you know,
Yeah.
is scholarships for college. as part of it and
Well,
getting into the major leagues.
well, yeah, but people donate to the college mostly because of rooting for the sports team. They buy the pendants, the
Right.
pins. They did a survey in Germany and found that if you rate people's happiness on a scale from 1 to 10, the entire nation's happiness moves by 2 based on whether they win the World Cup. People, politicians and car salesmen find out that you can always talk to someone about sports. It's the universal thing everyone cares about, except me. I'm the only one that's like, I'm deficient. It's like being blind. I don't have awareness or emotional attachment to this thing that is super important to most of the human race.
Yeah, well, Sam, I'm in your category.
Yeah. That's why I realized, somebody asked me, what should you do about trans women in sports? I say, I heard the Italians say the Pope passed rules about sex, but they should say, you don't play the game, you don't make the rules. And that's me. I don't understand it at all. I can't say anything. The only thing I can say is what the governor of Utah said, which is if you let the trans people in sports, then they'll feel better. They'll actually belong to something. They won't be ostracized so much, and that might stop them from committing suicide. So that's a consideration. But the other considerations I can't really speak to.
Yeah, so what I can tell you is trans women in sports,
Yeah.
if it's not a team sport, but it's a one-on-one,
Yeah.
there are advantages that trans people have.
Well, you would think so, sure.
Yeah,
They'd have more
strength
muscle mass or
wise.
something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
S-
yeah.
So it is unfair. And there have been some sports where somebody might be ranked 600th in the world and they become trans and now they're competing with other women. They were born male. And because of muscle mass, they're now in the top 10 or top five.
Yeah, yeah, but to me the whole thing was always pretty unfair anyway. I mean, anyway, I
Yeah.
logically
Yeah,
you
you
yeah.
know where a lot of this trans started accidentally was the Olympics.
I know they always had the issue of like Russian shot putters that were XXY or something, and they were taking drugs and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was an East German
Yeah,
woman who was raised as a woman, who
yeah,
was identified at birth as a woman,
yeah.
and became an athlete. But it was later found out that it was really a man,
Well,
and it was an honest mistake.
yeah, and as
I
we've
hate
talked
to say
about, the
that.
problem
Yeah,
is humans do not really separate into male and female as two
right.
distinct categories. There are a bunch of people that are sort of part way in the middle somewhere. And so
Yeah,
the
it's a
whole idea that
spectrum.
you can separate people into boys and girls, and the girls are all in this group and the boys are all in that group, is just a rough approximation. And,
Right,
and getting all bent out of shape, that was the problem. This binary decision is just not true. So you're never going to get rid of these people that don't fit in either category.
right.
And that's why I think all these separations, people push the theory beyond the actual experiment. Anyway, so I got some politics here.
All right, let's jump to politics. We
You
already
probably
started talking
you
about
probably
some.
heard about this one. JD Vance decided to shoot artillery shells over I-5 during the No Kings protest to distract people from the No Kings protest. So he decided to have a live fire demonstration, and he decided not to shut down the freeway. Everything will be fine. And Gavin Newsom stepped in and said, I'm shutting down the freeway. This is insane. And then one of the shells did explode prematurely and rained shrapnel down on the freeway. Nobody got hurt. And then they canceled the thing saying, whoops, this wasn't a good idea. And he said, and Gavin Newsom is, you idiot. I told you this is not a good idea. What the hell is wrong with you? Uh, so that's one of the many ridiculous things the government's doing. And the No Kings demonstration was awesome. I was at one of them. It was very nice. Anyway, and what I saw is a lot of police reports from all over the nation saying the police department thanks you because there were no arrests, no violence, no nothing. So that was very good. 5 million people out there and no significant arrests of any kind. There's a couple places where like some Proud Boys tried to start a fight, but they didn't succeed. And So NSO, the famous NSO group that makes the Pegasus software that can spy on iPhones,
Yeah, yeah.
I thought they were gone because they had like a sanction against them or something, but they're still around. And a U.S. court had a lawsuit from Meta And they now ordered them to stop targeting Meta platforms. And the NSO group said, if we can't hack Meta's WhatsApp, then we'll go out of business. And the court said, we don't care. You have to stop hacking WhatsApp. So that might be the end of them. And if that sets a precedent, maybe it'll do something about this commercial spyware industry, which is really huge and a pretty big problem. I must say, I have a lot of students coming to me that I'm pretty sure have been affected by this stuff or its derivatives. I think a lot of innocent people are being hacked by this commercial spyware, of which there's a lot of it at all different levels. Anyway, Amazon Ring, you may remember they put these things out in the doorbells, and then
Oh
they
yeah,
all the police departments where the cops could see it, and then people freaked out and said it's a privacy invasion. Well, they're moving back into that. They're now partnering with Flock, and Flock, I think, is the one with all the license plate readers everywhere.
right.
And so now they're going to partner with them, and so people can opt in and donate all their data to the cops. So they're going to jump back into the privacy controversy, I guess, because of course there's some people that like that. I suppose I would. If I owned a house, I would probably have security cameras and I'd probably willingly share that data with the police, thinking, I'm not hiding anything I'm doing, and I'd like the cops to catch people who are trying to break into my house. Anyway, um, let's see. We talked about that. Oh yeah, there's the other big scandal going everywhere is the Nazis, the Republicans. In case anybody isn't aware that the modern Republican Party is the Nazis. Their group called the Young Republicans, which includes age up to 40, someone leaked their chat. And their chat says, I love Hitler. We should just throw all our Jews in gas chambers. We should kill all our political enemies. We should rape all the women. Just horrible stuff. And they're all proud of this. And J.D. Vance came out and said, oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's okay that people talk like that. People are just making a big deal over nothing. So this is the modern Republican Party, as if anybody had any doubt, with Elon Musk and Stephen Miller, that are both open Nazis at the head of the party, and everybody just going along with it. I think anybody that imagines that the modern Republican Party is anything other than Nazis might as well get over it. And these people were like staffers. One of them was on a state senate. A bunch of them have now been, the group has been officially disbanded, and a bunch of them have been fired and stuff. But their crime is not being a Nazi. Their crime is getting caught. And it's pretty clear that's all it is. You're supposed
And what organization again?
Young Republicans,
Oh, I see.
the group designed to groom the next generation of Republicans leaders. So the young Republicans, in their youth and inexperience, are less adept at concealing the fact that they're Nazis. But anyway, this is going around. People are correctly saying this is terrible, but we all should have known this is happening. It just reveals what I think anybody's been paying attention has known for at least 5 years, is that the modern Republican Party is just completely white supremacist Nazi scum, and now tyrants. Anyway, so Rand Paul, one of the few mavericks in the Republican Party, is speaking out against the rest of them, saying they have to stop just murdering people in Venezuela. They blew up 5 or 6 boats now of random people without proving they did anything
Yeah.
wrong. And there's pretty strong evidence that several of these people were just fishers, that the boats weren't even strong enough to bring any drugs to America. And Rand Paul says this is terrible. You blew up all these people. You don't even know their name. You don't even have evidence of a crime. And that's not what you should be doing. He's right. And did you see the Trump video of him jumping shit on the protesters?
No.
That one was amazing. During the No Kings protest, which really bothered the Republicans, and they tried to say it's a hate America rally, it's a bunch of terrorists and Hamas supporters and people paid by George Soros, all of which was crap, of course. So during the rally, Trump posted an AI video of him wearing a crown as a king, flying a fighter jet over the crowd, dumping payloads of shit on them. So that's, I think, exactly what he thinks of his people. And he is the classic let them eat cake Marie Antoinette in his Mar-a-Lago dumping shit on the country. I know that's one thing about Trump. He says the quiet part out loud. That's exactly what I think Trump is. He thinks he's a king, and all he's doing is shitting on us all. That could have come from the other side, and that would have been the same. Anyway, so and whooping cough, of course, is rising. 1,295 cases of whooping cough now in Florida. Um, an 81% surge compared to the entirety of 2024. So the modern Republican anti-vax movement is so successful. They brought back measles, which was extinct. They brought back whooping cough, and I haven't yet seen it bring back polio, but I expect that to be next. So this is the glorious anti-science nation we live in. And the rest of the world is horrified as they watch us voluntarily sink back into the dark ages over here, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
you got any others?
Oh, just did we talk about the age gate law for app stores in California
I think
that
we
that's
talked about
being
it previously.
implemented?
When is it taking effect? Is that another thing on January next year?
I think so. So it's probably we didn't talk about this explicitly,
Yeah.
but it's part of 243, and there's a new law that's again part of this that requires AI to tell you it's AI.
That would be a good idea, I think.
So first in the country, you could thank Newsom for that.
I know the Biden
They've
administration had a panel that tried to recommend that or something, but I'm not sure they gave it the force of law.
Yeah, well, Newsom has signed it into law. How they
Yeah.
implement it, we're going to see this.
Yeah.
And I got one last story for you that I'll share with you.
Yeah.
And that is top generals are using AI.
Yeah. I heard
So,
someone said he was using it to make command decisions.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
They're
really
using an aggressive push to embrace AI in weapons, aircraft, and combat tech.
to make combat decisions.
Yes.
Well, I could see it being helpful as a guide, I guess.
But do you trust it?
Well, nothing is perfect. I could see using it to like see through smoke or decide if something you're not sure of is enemy or not. I could see it might be helpful there, as long as you
Yeah.
understand that it's not perfect. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
like
we'll
police.
see.
Police in principle could use facial recognition if they understood not to trust it too much. But of course, that's a difficult human judgment.
Right. Right.
I mean, I suppose in a purely rational situation, a commander that has AI tools should be better off than one that doesn't have them if they can appropriately evaluate how useful they are.
Yeah. So this is a general in Korea,
Yeah.
South Korea, and he's quoted as saying, "As a commander, I want to make better decisions."
Yeah.
And he goes on to say, "I want to make sure that I make decisions at the right time to give me the advantage."
Well, that's the question. I mean, does relying on them give you an advantage or does it put you at a disadvantage? That would depend on
Yeah.
how good they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
we'll see. We'll see how this works out.
yeah.
Big experiment and process is what I always say.
Well, yeah, that's essentially what we're all living in. We're all living in Pandora's box, new things coming out that have a good and a bad side.
Yeah.
I got a couple of tech stories actually. So Apple, this sounds pretty good. The latest iOS 26, which I don't have, I think I'd have to have a new phone to get it. There's a call screening feature for unknown callers.
Right.
Siri will answer and ask the caller what's it about, and then pop up a text message. You can see that before you answer. That would be pretty helpful. I get like 4 or 5 scam calls a day, and that would be an easy way to screen them.
So, how is that going to prevent that?
Well, I won't answer it, and I'll see a message saying I'm calling about this. And if the topic doesn't, then I'll be able to judge from that whether I care. If they say, if they're a scammer, I don't think they'll have a good answer when they say, "What's the purpose of your call?"
I'm calling about your Apple, or Amazon delivery.
Right. Oh, well. Oh, well, that would be a pretty good answer. That might get me, but most of them don't seem to have that. I would just look to see if they're a student or not.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what they're trying to do.
Would you think
Google
they're right? Yeah.
Voice
Yeah.
has had this for decades.
That's what I wonder. It's not effective to stop the scammers. I know I
Well,
do this manually. When someone calls me and I don't know who they are, if they don't immediately tell me what's going on, I say, "Well, I assume you're a crook here to steal my money." And their answer to that usually solves the question for me. Then they say, "No, I'm a student," or they say, "No, I'm here to save you money on this new thing." I say, "Okay, you're a criminal," and hang up. I mean, that challenge seems to answer the question quickly, whether they're a crook or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to think through this. It would block the robocalls
Yeah, which I
unless
think
they
is
use a voice synthesizer.
right. And I think that's the main thing. Almost every
Yeah.
scam
Yeah.
call I get, when I answer, there's nobody there. There's like a
Yeah.
10-second pause
Right.
and then I hang up. So I think that would be enough.
And Sam, do you know what the 10-second pause is about?
I think what's happening is there's a computer calling people and they don't even pass it to a human until after a human answers. So,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so that process is taking some time. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
They use automated dialers.
Yeah,
And once you answer hello, then they have to find an agent and
right.
transfer your call.
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
just not very efficient about that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, there's a couple other tech articles. One of them is interesting. Tech bros have been accidentally poisoning themselves for years. I heard of this stuff called Soylent, which is like a meal replacement. And apparently there are other ones, and a popular one called Huel's Black Edition Powder. Apparently a lot of tech guys have these tech bro meal replacements, and a bunch of them are full of heavy metals, lead and cadmium and stuff.
What?
Yeah, well, I remember when I read a review of Soylent, they said, this stuff is exactly what you figure you'd have when some tech guy makes it who knows nothing about nutrition and nothing about cooking. You've got some horrible slop here that upsets your stomach that some guy says, well, it has the right amount of vitamins and stuff in it. Yeah, maybe it does, but there's a reason why we have this whole group of people called cooks and chefs that actually make good food. And if you just take a mathematical pile of powder and grind it up, you haven't got something that's equal to good food.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
do you know where Soylent comes from, right?
yeah, Soylent Green. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
A 1970s movie.
yeah, yeah. And, you know, I think it correctly is not very appealing, and that's probably a correct description of the product, saying, do you really want to eat this? This is probably something horrible. And that's apparently
Right.
pretty much true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the last one I was really glad to see just before we came on. I saw this. Um, the CSO Online has a good article saying something I've been saying for at least 2 years, which is everybody is hacking your edge devices, VPNs, firewalls, routers, and switches. And they say, why does this keep happening? And they have a nice list of all the zero-day flaws in 2024 and 2025. They say these are pathetic. They're like directory traversal, command injection. They're flaws from the 90s. And they say, why are these edge devices so vulnerable? And they say, many of the vulnerabilities should have been caught with automatic code analysis or code reviews. There's no evidence that the security efforts that vendors are making are improving things at all. 2025 is just as bad as 2024. And they say the real problem is legacy code. These devices contain a lot of code that is 10 years old or older. They often don't even have the source code anymore. They Nobody wants to go back and try to fix that old code. It's hard, so that's the problem. And they say vendors need to set a higher standard. And I've been saying this a lot. This is ridiculous. There are ways to make much more secure devices like iPhones that verify every single app has been signed by the company. And so you know, they need to up their game. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not happening yet, but I think it just reminds me of Windows. Microsoft Windows totally ignored security until XP came out. And it got so bad that everybody had a little pop-up dinosaur on the screen and everybody was getting hacked. And that's when it got so bad, Bill Gates wrote the Trustworthy Computing Memo and said, all right, guys, this is horrible. We need to change our direction and make more secure products. And I think it's time for the firewall vendors to have a similar come to Jesus moment. Go, all right, guys, we need to increase our security here.
Well, the problem is it's costly.
It is. So you don't
Yeah.
do it until the problem is large enough to justify the cost. And I think we're reaching that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, going
Yeah.
through legacy code is no fun. It's a lot of work, but there comes a point when your technical debt is so large that you actually have to address it. It reminds me, about 15 years ago, I had a bunch of students. Some of my students got hired as software developers at I think it was Adobe PDF Reader, something like that. There was a product at
Okay.
that time that was incredibly vulnerable, and they were the first generation of people trying to fix the flaws in the PDF Reader. And I said, I don't know whether to congratulate you or give you condolences, because always what they hire a bunch of developers first, and they say, okay, fix the product, but without spending any money or without changing anything. And those guys get fired. And then they say, all right, we just need to rewrite the whole thing from zero. But first they try, oh, can't you just patch something on the outside of it? Put it in a sandbox or something to make it safe, which is understandable. I mean, addressing that legacy code is really painful. So you try to find some cheaper solution until you admit you actually have to fix the problem. Anyway, this seems to be a lot of my life is basically political activism, trying to get people to admit something they really don't want to admit. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, that's all for me.
Yeah, I think that's all for me this go round. We got a nice show this time.
Yeah, I think enough good stuff there. All right, so we'll have another one of these on Friday.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sam.
All right.